Welcome to the Iron Ridge Outdoors channel. Today we're talking about one of my loves, and that is dirt biking, off-roading, finding new places. And as of now, this is my current tool to do that with. It is a 96 XR650L, and it's a pig. Now, why would somebody buy this bike? I think that's kind of the question I want to address today. Is this bike still a viable option in today's market when you have a plethora of other choices concerning dual sport bikes? And in fact, you can actually buy this bike still brand new. This thing has been in production for such a long time, it's kind of scary. And there is a reason for that, definitely. And we're going to talk about a little bit of the pros and the cons, and if I would buy this bike again. Now, I've had a lot of different bikes. I've had a DR650, and I wish I had this at the same time as this guy so I could do a head-to-head comparison, but I don't. I've also had the DRZ400. I've had a DR350. Let's see, I've had an XR600, so not the 650. And I've had a few KTMs, and I had a dual sported WR400 Yamaha. So I've got a good base of experience concerning dual sport bikes. Now, one thing that I like about this bike in particular was the price and what came with it for that money. Now, I've had this for about 2 years, and 2 years ago, I think I bought it with about 6,000 or 7,000 on the, I think it was around 6,000 on the Odo. Now I'm at 93. I think I paid like $2,700, and that was with almost everything you see on it now. The guy had already bought a Corbin seat. This is like a $350 seat. It already had a aftermarket gas tank. I'm pretty sure this is a Clark. I think it's like a 3.5 gallon, maybe a 4 gallon. It had these awesome 90s coloration that, man, you can't get today. It had the skid guard. It had the rear disc protector. It already had the can. And that is a Super Trap, old school. And it also has Dave's Mods done to it, which, if you don't know what Dave's Mods is, basically getting rid of all of the emissions crap to make it California legal. There's a plate on here. You can see some of the mounting screws where it used to be. And then, if I can remember where, oh, right here, you can see this cover plate right there. It used to have a whole system out here for doing, I don't know, cleaning air stuff. I did add the fuel filter on there, simply because where I go, I get into some nasty places where they've got fuel that is out of a tank, not out of a pump. And I have added this Rotopax, I think it's a 1.75 gallon tank on here. It already had the rear rack, which was nice. And for the money, that kind of money, you know, less than $3,000 for a bike with not very many miles. It's got a proven track record, and that's definitely one of the pros to this bike. Proven track record. With all of that, man, it would be extremely difficult to beat this bike with what it came with for that money. Now, I'm not saying it can't be done, but for that money, less than $3,000, and you are essentially ready to go. You know, you've got a 200 plus mile range on this guy. You've got a nice seat, luggage already on there, for less than $3,000. At that price, it's hard to say no. Now, my brother, my dearest brother, he just bought a brand new XR650L. Out of the door, he got like a brand new helmet with it, and they sold him on some other aftermarket accessories. Nothing fancy. He paid like close to $7,000 out the door after all the dealer fees and after all that, and my mind was blown. $7,000 for a brand new XR650L. Now, I know MSRP is only like $6,200, but they're going to slap you with the dealer fee, and they're going to slap you with, oh, you want a helmet, so you bought an Air, so we bought a nice helmet. But man, $7,000 for a bike like this? No, no, I would never. There's no way. For that type of money on the used market, you can get some insane bikes. Prior to this, I had a BMW F650, And that bike was cool. I loved it. On the dirt, it was a pig. And this is a pig, but the BMW was way too heavy for the type of riding that I like to do. And even that was only like 5,000 bucks, and it had, I think, similar miles to this. I think it had like 8,000 or 9,000 miles. And the DR650 that I bought, same price, and you're looking at like $3,000. The DRZ400, brand new. I don't know. Is that a better bike than this? I think so. Yeah, I do. And the real reason I bought this bike was because it came outfitted how I would generally do it. I mean, not everything I would do, but it already had a seat, it already had a tank, it already had luggage, it already had protection, skid plate. That's money that I don't have to dole out. And for the $3,000 I paid for this, sub $3,000, that's where this bike shines. And it's the price and then the reliability you get with that price. Now, I've done what's called the OBCDR, the Oregon Backcountry Discovery Route. I've done that in its entirety 2 times. The first time I did it was in 2013, and I did it on a DR650. And the second time I did it was in 2016, and I did it on this guy right here. Which bike did you like more, Iron Ridge Outdoors? DR650. Why? This bike, while it has excellent ground clearance and it's got some pretty firm suspension, you feel so top heavy on this bike. Now, could it have been how I loaded it? Potentially, but I loaded the DR650 the same way as I did this. The front tire on this thing plows so easily. It feels like it's almost on ice. You'll be going through a turn, and if it's not like excellent quality ground, this front tire just goes swoop. And I kind of attribute that to the really heavy weight up top. Now, I didn't have an aftermarket tank on my DR650, so I only had like 2 gallons of gas up there. But I had a bigger tank up here, so there's more weight back here. So again, it could have been that it's just how I had the bike set up. Could you do an aftermarket suspension and put on the original gas tank and get that weight a little bit lower? Maybe. But I crashed on this thing, and I haven't crashed on a dirt bike in years. And I crashed this guy more times than I wanted to, simply because the thing would just wash out. Completely unexpectedly, just whoop. And I did the exact same trails on the DR650, and I didn't even come close to crashing on that once. Now, was it because I could go faster on this bike, because I felt like it had a better suspension, it had higher ground clearance? Maybe. I mean, there's a multitude of factors that could come into play here. However, the fact still remains that this bike, for me, and I'm a bigger guy, I'm 215 pounds, 6'1", and for me, this bike, while it has better ground clearance, so I feel like it's going to be safer going over obstacles, handles not as stable as the DR650 or the WR400 or KTM 450 or any other bike that I've had. So would I buy this bike new over other bikes? Is it still a viable option in today's market? New? I would say no. I think it has an aura about it, a mystique, that people are like, yes, XR650L, it's bulletproof, it can go anywhere. You can tell that to my brother, because he bought a brand new one and the engine exploded before 2,000 miles. He was not too happy about it. Honda was awesome, they gave him a new bike. But still, I mean, any bike can do it. Any bike is reliable. The DR650 DRZ, my dad had a DRZ and he commuted to work on it every single day. He had over 40,000 miles on the original engine, never taken apart, never rebuilt, 40,000 miles on a DRZ 400. I was blown away. I was just like, Dad, that thing's going to blow up. You need to get rid of it or do a new top end or something. And he rode it, and then I had ridden it before off-road. The thing chooched along perfectly fine. Could all of these go to 40,000 miles without any sort of rebuild? I don't think so. Could all DRZs do it? No, that's not the fact, though. The point is that the reliability on this in today's world is not anything spectacular. It's nothing special anymore. All right, I know what you're saying. Shut up. Let's go for a ride. All right, let's do it. Check it out. I've got my little cell phone holder that I use, and I milled out this part so the camera can go through. Oh yeah, we'll see if that works. A little cold-blooded on this guy. Got the choke in. Oh, the camera's doing some weird stuff. We'll see how this works. Watch out, Mom. Right there, just went out. Front tires, clouds. So that was some sandy stuff, and this thing is just sliding all over the place, and that has to do with the weight. Could potentially be the tires. Tires in this aren't too bad. And the weight distribution. For one, it just is a heavy animal, and two, all the weight is up top. So I don't know if the camera's going to do this. Probably be jangling all over the place. We're going to hit some rockier trails. And this is one area where this bike does better than the XR650 and some of the other bikes, just because it has enough power to chug up there, and it's got the ground clearance. You don't feel like you're going to have to bottom out. I bottomed out all the time in the XR650. We've made it out here to what I have affectionately dubbed the viewpoint. The views are absolutely stunning out here. The camera does zero justice to them. And we're here on the XR650. Now, what does this bike do well? I keep asking myself, and the truth is it does nothing well. On the road, it doesn't have enough power to make it fun. Kind of a dog. On dirt, it's way too heavy and cumbersome to be a real trail weapon. What it does well, though, is for the money that you paid for this thing, on a used bike, not a new one. It doesn't make any sense to buy a new XR650. Not when Craigslist is full of them for less than, $3,000, 5,000 miles, all over the place. What it does well is for this money, for this $3,000, it's kind of like that saying, jack of all trades, master of none. However, this isn't really a jack. I'd say it's more of a pig of all trades. It can do everything. It can get you into a lot of places, get you some crazy views. I've had a lot of fun adventures on this bike. And it can do them all and not complain too much. Does it do anything well? Not even close. I had the KTM XC450. That bike was an absolute blast to ride on the trails. On the road, it was even more fun at lower speeds because it still had some power to do some hooligan stuff. This thing can pop up the front tire in front gear. Second gear if you are at lower altitude. I'm kind of at the high desert here, and this thing sucks the altitude. The altitude sucks the power from this guy. No more second gear wheelies out here for me, unfortunately. But when I go back into the valley, lower sea level stuff, it's got a little bit more get up. It really affects this. At highway speeds, the wind just berates you, and that's going to be kind of true with all dual sports. This isn't any more vibraty or uncomfortable than some. I would say on the freeway, this bike and the XR650, it's a wash. They're both not great. The KTM was not so much fun, and the Z400 wasn't as much fun on the freeway either, just because the RPMs were so bloody high. And you could gear it differently for that, but then when you get to off-roading, which is what my main purpose is for these bikes, then you're cut off from having good torque and lower end power because your gearing is so high. Is this bike worth it in today's market? Is it a viable option? Does it still have purpose in today's market? And I would say yes, only at a used price would it make any sense. Brand new, it just doesn't. There's so many great options out there, so many better bikes for the money at a new price than this guy. But used, when you get in a bunch of stuff aftermarket, find some guy who's already put some money into it. This probably has another $1,000 in upgrades if you were to buy them brand new, and has no miles on it. I mean, 10,000 miles. It had less than 6,000 miles when I bought it. Man, that's nothing for these bikes. Nothing. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Had a little fun. We'll see how that footage turns out of me riding. My guess is just gonna be all over the place, probably inviewable, but it was fun. Take care, guys.